I was 27 when I moved in. Amanda was 32. 2 boys in tow. Her ex-husband had just ghosted again, the 3rd time in a year. Dylan was 11. Carter was 9. I remember how they sat on the living room couch that first night, huddled behind wireless controllers, a cracked popcorn bowl between them, refusing to look up. Amanda touched my arm and said softly, "They just need time." But what she really meant was, they need a man who won't leave. I believed her. I believed in time, in patience, in the power of showing up, day after day, to wear down suspicion into trust. That's what I did. I showed up. While their father offered gas station gift cards and half-hearted phone calls, I covered the bills. While Amanda fielded text fights with her ex, I was the one at the school when Carter got detention, when Dylan needed his inhaler replaced, when neither of them knew who to call. Every birthday, I signed the card, "Love, Thomas," because Dad felt like a title I hadn't earned yet. But I worked for it. God, I worked for it. They didn't make it easy. Dylan would mutter under his breath when I asked him to mow the lawn, something about not being his real dad. Carter once changed my name in his phone to The Wallet. I pretended not to notice. I thought, they're just angry, confused. They'll come around. I believed if I just gave more time, more patience, more money, they'd understand. I remember every milestone like I built them with my hands. Carter's braces. Dylan's soccer league. The first time I let them drive my truck around the parking lot. I remember waiting outside in the cold for parent-teacher conferences while Amanda stayed home, because the boys didn't want her there if I was going. I remember the sting of being there for every important moment, only to be asked to step out of the photo. 8 years passed like that. I gave. They took. I believed that love, real love, was about what you did, not what you were called. And still, I stayed. We bought a house 4 years in. A 3-bedroom colonial with rotting gutters and a furnace older than I was. Amanda picked it because it was near the school. I picked it because it had good bones. I tore up carpet, laid tile, built the boys a gaming nook in the basement, worked 60-hour weeks just to pay down the mortgage. The house needed constant attention, and so did the kids. Every crisis, every whim, every emergency, I was there. Not their father. Never him. But I never complained. Not out loud. Not until that night. It was meatloaf night, Thursday. Amanda liked routine. Dinner was always 6 o'clock. I got home at 5:20, enough time to change out of my work clothes and help set the table. Dylan was already at the table, slouched, earbuds in, half a plate already gone. Carter was watching a video on his phone with the volume too loud. Amanda was stirring instant mashed potatoes with the same energy she gave to most things by then, just enough to claim effort, not enough to care. "Dylan," I said, "take the earbuds out. We're eating." He didn't move. I asked again. Still nothing. I turned to Amanda. She didn't look up from the pot. "Dylan," I said more firmly, "out, now." And then Carter spoke. "You don't get to tell us what to do. You're not even family." He didn't yell. He didn't pout. He said it the way a judge delivers a sentence. Matter of fact. Irrefutable. Dylan smirked. Amanda looked down at her plate, stabbed a piece of meatloaf and kept chewing. I just sat there, fork in hand, plate steaming. Every year, every dollar, every splinter under my fingernails from fixing their broken chairs, their jammed windows, their lives. Every sacrifice I made to become part of this, dismissed like a bad joke. I didn't raise my voice, didn't flip the table. I just stared at Amanda, waiting for her to say something, to defend me, to remind them who I was, what I had done. That without me, this house, this food, their lives, none of it would exist. But she didn't. She just kept chewing. That silence was louder than Carter's words. I excused myself, put my plate in the sink, walked out to the garage and sat in the truck with the door closed. I don't know how long I sat there, engine off, fists on the steering wheel. The cold seeped into my skin. The humiliation dug deeper. I had built a family brick by brick. But all they saw was a contractor. And now they were handing me the invoice. 8 years. 8 years of loyalty for what? A single sentence. a mouthful of meatloaf, a silence that split me in half. That was the night something in me died. Not all at once. Not dramatically. Just a quiet folding inward, like a flame deciding it's had enough air. I stayed in the truck until the lights in the house dimmed, until I knew no one would come out after me, because nobody ever did. Not Amanda, not the boys, not even a text to ask where I went. And that was the clearest answer I ever got. The next morning, I woke up before anyone else. I made coffee, sat in the living room. The house was quiet in a way that felt unnatural. Not peaceful, just emptied. I looked around at the worn rug, the chipped baseboards I'd planned to fix, the framed photos that didn't include me. Not one. 8 years and not one picture on the wall. I thought about going to work. Instead, I pulled out 2 suitcases from the closet. Not mine, theirs. I packed quietly, folded Carter's hoodies, Dylan's socks, their school jerseys. I unplugged the Xbox, wrapped it in a towel. I didn't rush. Every motion was slow, measured. Not out of malice, out of clarity. I wasn't angry. I wasn't hurt. I was done. By the time Amanda walked into the living room, I had the boys' things stacked by the door. She looked at the bags, blinked, then looked at me. What is this? I kept my voice level. It's exactly what it looks like. She stared at me. You're kicking them out? No, I said. I'm returning them. Her face hardened. You're being ridiculous. No, I said again. I was ridiculous. For 8 years. She crossed her arms. You don't mean this. I do. I looked her straight in the eye. Carter made it clear. I'm not family. So why am I still paying their bills? Why am I still cleaning up after them? Why am I still here? She opened her mouth, closed it. I called Mike this morning, I added. He's expecting them. Her face shifted. A flicker of panic under the disbelief. You what? I repeated it slowly. I called their real father. The one whose name is on their birth certificates. The one they respect. The one they claim as family. I told him to make room. You can't be serious, she said. But there was something weak in her voice now. She knew I was. I stared at her, cold. You should have said something last night, Amanda. Anything. But you just sat there. They're kids. No, I snapped. They're not kids. They're old enough to know what they said. Old enough to mean it. Old enough to live with it. She turned away, biting her lip. But not to cry. To stay silent. That's what she did best. She let me take the punches and never once stepped between me and the pain. By noon, the boys were up. Dylan came into the kitchen first, yawning, rubbing his eyes. He looked at the suitcases and smirked. What's all that? Your stuff, I said. He blinked. What? You're going to your dad's, I said. Carter too. The smirk dropped. Wait, what? Carter came in next, mouth full of cereal. What's going on? I didn't answer. I pointed to the bags. Start loading. They looked to Amanda. She didn't say a word. This is insane, Dylan said. You can't make us leave. I met his eyes. I'm not making you do anything. I'm giving you what you asked for. You said I wasn't family. So I'm stepping aside. Carter set his bowl down slowly. You're serious? I nodded. Very. You can't just... Dylan's voice rose, cracked. You don't get to decide this. No, I said. You did. Neither of them moved. So I walked to the front door, opened it. Trucks running. Still, they didn't move. Now, I said. And they moved. No one talked during the drive. I played the radio low, a country station Amanda hated. I didn't look at the boys in the rearview mirror. I didn't need to. I knew the exact expression they wore. The stunned look of 2 kids who thought the world would always bend for them, and just realized it wouldn't. Mike's apartment was smaller than I remembered. 2-bedroom, no yard, rust on the railing. He came out when he saw my truck. Baggy t-shirt, stained sweatpants. He scratched his head and squinted like he was trying to remember why I was there. You serious? He asked, his voice low. I nodded. Both of them. Both. He looked over at the boys. They looked back, dead silent. I don't really got the space. Make it, I said. They're yours. There was a pause. The kind of pause that cracks something open. Mike didn't argue. He didn't offer to help unload the bags either. Just watched while I did it. The boys stood there, not moving, not speaking. When I finished, I got back in the truck. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't need to. I left them there, on the curb, in front of the man they always swore was more real than me. I drove home in silence. The cab smelled like their sweat, their cologne, their history. I rolled down the windows and let the wind carry it away. Amanda wasn't there when I got back. Just a note on the counter. We need to talk. No apology. No acknowledgement. Just another deflection. I didn't answer it. I went to the garage, opened a beer, and sat on the step. 8 years. 8 years of trying. Of building. Of believing that love and duty were enough. But they weren't. Not when silence speaks louder than loyalty. Not when blood beats sacrifice. Not when the only thing you're good for is your wallet and your willingness to endure. That night I slept better than I had in years. Alone, yes, but at peace. And peace, I've learned, is worth more than proximity. The house was still without them. That first morning, I made coffee in silence. No footsteps above me. No cereal bowls clinking in the sink. No Carter yelling for the charger he never returned. It was quiet, profoundly so. But not peaceful. Not yet. Amanda came back 2 days later. No announcement. I heard the key in the lock while I was recaulking the bathroom. She walked in like nothing had happened. No apology, no fury. Just exhaustion. Like someone who'd been living inside someone else's mistake and now had to clean it up. She put her purse down. Can we talk? I didn't stop working. Now you want to talk. Her voice was tight. You blindsided them. I stood, faced her. No, they blindsided me. At my own table. In my own house. You could have handled it differently. You could have stopped it before it happened. That shut her up. She sat down on the edge of the tub, hands trembling. Mike's place is a mess. The boys. They hate it there. He doesn't cook. There's no heat in one of the bedrooms. I nodded. Sounds like a family problem. Good thing they're with family. She looked at me. That long, searching look women give when they're measuring what's left in a man. They've been texting me, asking when they can come back. I met her gaze. That depends. On what? Respect, I said. And not just from them. She went quiet again. That silence. God, it was a pattern. 8 years of pretending she couldn't see the divide between me and her sons. 8 years of letting them talk over me, ignore me, challenge me while she played referee and peacekeeper but never advocate. Her neutrality had been their permission slip. I know I should have said something, she whispered finally. I didn't reply. There was nothing left to say. That night I got 3 texts. First from Carter. I didn't mean it. Then Dylan. I was being a jerk. I'm sorry. Last from Amanda. Short and raw. I miss our home. The word home twisted in my chest. Home was what I tried to build, what I paid for, what I bled for, what I believed in. But they had mistaken it for a hotel. A place to take without giving. The next day, Amanda invited me to dinner. Neutral ground, her sister's place. I went. Not for reconciliation. For clarity. Dylan and Carter were already there. They looked different. Not broken, but cracked. Carter had bags under his eyes. Dylan didn't smirk when I walked in, he stood. That alone nearly knocked the air out of me. We sat at the table, the same setup as before, but without the comfort. The silence stretched. Finally, Carter spoke. I didn't mean it. What I said. At dinner. Dylan nodded. Neither did I. We were just angry. You weren't angry, I said. You were entitled. There's a difference. Neither of them argued. That, more than anything, told me how far they'd fallen. I get it now, Carter said, his voice shaking. You did everything, and I treated you like nothing. Dylan cleared his throat. I thought you'd always be there, that it didn't matter what we said. I let the silence sit. Let it work on them like a slow punishment. Amanda spoke next. They've been through a lot, Thomas. And so have I replied. You just didn't notice. Another silence. Heavier now. Like everyone in the room was seeing clearly for the first time. Then Dylan looked me in the eye, really looked, and said the only thing that mattered. What do we have to do to come home? It wasn't just a plea. It was surrender. I leaned back. It's not about chores. It's not about grades. It's about respect. You don't get to spit in a man's face and expect him to keep feeding you. You don't get to call him nothing and then crawl back when real life punches you in the mouth. They nodded. And Amanda, I said, turning to her, you don't get to stand on the sidelines anymore. You're either with me, or you're just another ghost who watches the damage and stays quiet. Her eyes filled. She didn't cry, but she didn't argue either. I stood. If you want back in that house, it's on my terms now. My rules. My respect. No more silence. No more pretending I'm invisible unless there's a bill to pay. Dylan stood too. I can live with that. Carter followed. So can I. Amanda didn't move. I looked at her. One last time. If you want to come home, come home. But don't come back expecting the same man. He's gone. I walked out before they could answer. And for the first time in 8 years, I felt like I wasn't walking away from something. I was walking toward it. They came home on a Sunday. The sky was overcast, the kind of gray that makes everything feel colder than it is. I was in the backyard, raking wet leaves, when I heard Amanda's car door shut, then 2 more. I didn't turn around. I didn't want to see suitcases. I didn't want to see tears. I just wanted silence, the kind that says, we're here, but we're not pretending anymore. Dylan approached first. Where should I put my stuff? I pointed to the garage. Leave it there. He nodded. No complaints. No eye roll. Carter followed. Thanks for letting us back. I didn't say anything. Amanda came last. She didn't ask for anything. Just walked beside me for a while, watching the rake lift and fall, lift and fall. She didn't try to hold my hand. That night, no one sat in their usual seats at dinner. No phones. No jokes. Just chewing and silence. Dylan passed the bread without being asked. Carter cleared his plate without a word. Amanda met my eyes once, searching for something. I didn't give it, because forgiveness isn't free. They had to earn it. Over the next few weeks, things shifted. Slowly, deliberately, the boys started saying good morning, started cleaning up, started asking, not assuming. I didn't praise them. I didn't reward them. I just let them work. Amanda tried too. She started sitting with me in the evenings again, no phone, no TV, just her. She talked about work, about her sister, about how hard it was living in someone else's house. I listened, but I didn't comfort her. Not yet, because I'd done that for 8 years, and it got me nowhere. A month passed before Dylan said it. We were fixing the gutter. He held the ladder while I worked. Out of nowhere, he said, "You were right. I didn't look down." About what? Everything. I climbed down, faced him. I was a dick, he added. We both were. I stared at him, waited. I don't expect you to forget it, he said. But I do want to fix it. That was the first time I believed him. Carter took longer. He was younger, more stubborn. But one night he knocked on the door to my office, a first. I looked up what braces cost, he said. I didn't know. I'm sorry. I nodded. Don't say sorry. Be better. He nodded back. As for Amanda, it was harder. The damage between us wasn't from words. It was from her silence, her loyalty to neutrality. But one night, while folding laundry, she said it. I chose the path of least resistance, and it cost me you. I didn't respond. She didn't expect me to. Sometimes acknowledgement is enough. We didn't go back to being a family overnight. We rebuilt. Slowly. The boys started calling me Tom again, not hey or him. I didn't push for Dad. I didn't want the word anymore. I wanted something real, not ceremonial. Amanda asked if we could renew our vows. I said no. We already said the words once. What I wanted now was action, consistency, mutual respect. We live together now, but it's different. My name is on the deed, and they all understand what that means. My rules are followed. My time is respected. My presence is no longer optional. And if any of them forget that, if the smirks return, if the silence creeps back in, if Amanda slips into passive complicity again, I won't raise my voice. I'll just start the truck. Because I know how fast those bags fit. So tell me, was I wrong? Was I cruel for drawing the line so late? For letting them drown in the very water they poured over me? Or was it the only way to teach them that family isn't given? It's earned? And when they made it clear I wasn't one of them, wasn't I right to let them prove it?